So hello. So last week we did a little bit about editing, a little bit of vocabulary for editing, especially what we went through was identifying double nouns, right? And a little bit about subject-verb agreement. Now there's a lot of rules for subject agreement, and I'm very sure that we will be covering that somewhere along the line, all right, this year. But for double nouns, all right, this is when you are faced with an editing passage, for example, and then you see two nouns side by side, for example. Tradition, temple. Now, having said that, all right, unless the two nouns side by side are meant to appear that way, usually when it comes to words which are compound nouns, all right, the issue here is that you will need to change the first noun, all right? We don't use a noun to describe another noun. So what we do is we change this into the adjectival form, okay? Which is, of course, traditional, right? Okay. So, and also we also dealt with homonyms. All right, homonyms are simply words which are spelled the same and they are pronounced the exact same way, but they have different meanings. All right. The word homonym comes from the prefix homo, which means the same, and the suffix nym, which means name. So they have two different meanings, even though they look and sound exactly the same. All right, a very simple example, a very common example of a homonym is this word. Okay, bow, right? And yeah, bow has multiple meanings, right? One of them is the bow tie that you wear, all right, around your neck. And the other one, of course, is the bow and arrow. All right, go ahead and chuckle at my horrible artwork. Now, so the next few questions are going to cover homonyms, all right, like we have done for our lesson on Monday. The two words the two meanings of the word tender, all right. Now this one would be gentle, all right, as well as an offer of money. Now when tender is considered gentle, it is an adjective, all right. But when tender is the offer of money, it is considered a noun, all right. Now tender also can refer to a verb, all right, to tender your resignation, all right, to give a piece of letter, all right, or yeah, to say that I'm gonna stop working, for example, all right. So one word tender can be an adjective, can be a noun, can be a verb, all right, which is really quite interesting. Tender is of course the verb is of course another meaning. All right, so you can see that the one single word tender has really multiple meanings. Okay, now I remembered a few of you asking me about tender in terms of an injury or a muscle. Yes, you can use it as well. All right, it doesn't mean tender, gentle per se. It just means that it is soft to the touch and it's incredibly painful if you touch it. All right, so when you're talking about a tender muscle or tender wound, right? That's how it is. Next, we have the word die. Yeah. Now the die here, all right, you guys know the regular meaning of the word die: to cease living, to stop living. All right, so this would be the verb die. The second meaning of the word die is the one you may not realize because you're too used to the word dice. All right, dice is in fact plural in nature. You know, when you play a game, you roll the dice, right? It is that cube with many dots. All right, that's a die. All right, so this singular die is spelled this way. All right, dice is plural, and this makes it a noun, of course, because it's a thing. Moving on, circular. All right, circular, taking the form of a circle. All right, this is an adjective. All right, so you can say that the paper is in the shape of a circle, so the paper is circular in nature. All right, or it is a circular piece of paper. Okay, a circular can also refer to a store advertisement. All right, we should make it a noun. Yeah. Yeah, it's a store advertisement. It's like a flyer, you know, when you pass by shops, and then sometimes they have staff standing in front of the shop, and then they hand out pieces of paper to say, come inside, this is what we have to offer, you know, these are certain sales that we have. So that's a circular, that's a flyer. Okay. And finally, the word tire. All right, tire. Okay, a part of a wheel, the rubber area outside the wheel, that's tire. This would make it a noun. Okay, and then tire, to grow tired, to grow fatigued, right? So this is the verb. Okay, now something to take note of about the word tire when it comes to the part of a wheel, the rubber area surrounding the wheel. This, all right, this tire is considered American spelling, American English. Okay, in Singapore, we use British English, and the spelling for tire is in fact with a Y, tire. Okay, so take note of the difference. Be careful when you spell it when it comes to your schoolwork, all right? Because they do expect you to use a British English in school. At the same time, it's not wrong to use American English, but make sure it's constant throughout. So if you write a passage, for example, if you want to use TIRE for this part of the wheel, make sure that every single time you spell tire is going to be the same, right? You don't use TI at one instance and then you use TY in another instance, and you're going to get penalized for that. So be very careful about that, okay? So moving on, we're going to talk about two grammar components. One, you know, general grammar that we normally see these words being used in synthesis, as well as your grammar MCQs, as well as your grammar clause. All right, and the grammar clause we will cover about is about Jonava. Okay, so very quickly now, for those of you who know this, connectors, conjunctions, they mean the same thing. So what do they do? All right, obviously, connectors, conjunctions are words that it is a word that joins. All right, groups of words or words such as phrases. I'm going to try to squeeze this in as neatly as I can. Clauses and sentences. Right, this bit I'm very sure you guys know what it is. Right now, we just have to look at a few examples and what specifically they are called. Now, I like this bit. Yeah, I'm gonna just read it to you. This is how a little paragraph would sound without the conjunctions. Right? I would love to watch a movie with you. I would love to watch a movie with John. I would love to have dinner with you. I would love to have dinner with John. My mother says that I can't. My mother says that I have to finish my homework. My mother says I have to clean up my room. Right? Very simplistic sentences. I think it's perfectly acceptable. Grammatically, there's nothing wrong with it. But we normally speak this way when we're 2 years old or 3 years old, or just starting to learn English and do not know the concept of conjunctions, right? So even though it is simple, grammatically correct, it is incredibly boring, right? And especially as you get older, P4, P5, now you're in P6, you are expected to show a mastery of complex sentences. So that's where your connections and conjunctions comes in. All right, so we're going to rewrite this paragraph with inclusive of conjunctions. All right, very simple ones. I would love to watch a movie and have dinner with you and John, but my mother says that I can't. Not only do I have to finish my homework, but I also have to clean up my room. Okay, so compared to the previous slide, when you have those 10, 11, 12 sentences, all right, very simplistic. This one adds a bit of sophistication to it, even though the conjunctions themselves are very simple and straightforward. Okay, now we're going to focus on 3 types of conjunctions today. The first one is, is known as coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions, all right? These are conjunctions that connects groups of words, or just, words that perform the same or similar function in a sentence. Now, there are a couple of examples given to you, all right? But, okay, how does but work? But works by joining 2 contrasting ideas, or offers a choice, all right? And then we have yet, which means but. The word for here, this is for the conjunction, not for the preposition. When we use for as a conjunction, all right, it means because, okay? And of course means in addition to, straightforward. And the word so, or the little phrase so that, all right, shows that the second idea is the result of the first. Now, next up, something which I have covered before is known as subordinating conjunctions. Now, they are basically 2 words, all right, usually, okay, or yeah, but what's important is that they appear in pairs. You have to realize it, they appear in pairs, and they are more forceful than coordinating conjunctions. Basically, what it means by being forceful is that you are forced to use them in that state, all right? Subordinating conjunctions, oh no, it's not subordinating conjunctions, my mistake. Okay, so the next one, all right? This one, ladies and gentlemen, are correlative conjunctions. Apologies for that. All right, the correlative conjunctions are also known as, I like to call them paired words. Okay, they are words that belong together. All right, so we have either or, neither nor, not only, but also. This one, take note, right? Take a special note of this one. Not only, but also, okay? Both and, whether or. Now, so will go with that, right? Such will also go with that. And then another highlight for you, all right, is a no sooner. No sooner, and check the spelling here, okay? No sooner will always go with than. Now, it's one more of the trickier synthesis ones which are given to you. Not only, sorry, no sooner than, all right? Of course, we also have, the barely, hardly, scarcely, all right? That one we use when, okay? And another one which is not here, but many students make this particular mistake, all right? Between. Between will always go with and, not to, right? So I'm looking for a group of volunteers between 15 and 20 years old. It is not between 15 to 20 years old. So take note of that, right? Back to what I mistakenly did the last slide, subordinating conjunctions, okay? This one connects subordinate clauses and main clauses to form complex sentences, right? So this is the one whereby if you have the conjunction in front, you will need a comma, all right? So this one becomes the subordinate clause, and then this one becomes the main clause, all right? However, if the conjunction is in the middle of the sentence, you don't need the comma, but everything before the comma is your main clause, and everything everything which includes the connector, the conjunction, will become the subordinate clause. Okay, and then this one we're focusing really the examples of time conjunctions. So we have all these: after, once, when, as, till, whenever, before, until, while, as soon as, before. Before is repeated. Right. You should wash that laceration on your arm and apply some medication. Blank, it becomes infected. Now, this one, all right, I remember the previous, on Monday when we did this, a lot of you got this right, because you know, all right, and because you're I'm very glad that we have a very smart class, right? You know that the word lest means just in case. Okay, so read it again, and it makes perfect sense. Wash the scratch, wash the wound, all right, apply some medicine on the wound on your arm, and just in case it gets affected. Sorry, it gets infected. Yeah, unless it's kind of close, but it doesn't show a contrast here. We use unless for opposing or contrasting ideas, similar with but. All right, and the basic pattern for an unless sentence is unless this happens, this cannot happen. Okay. Next, here, remember, key is not only. Okay. So of course, you know that the not only will go with but also. Correlative conjunction. This phrasing is, what do you call it? It is forced upon you. You have to write it this way. All right. And since we already have the also here, this one is going to be but. Okay. Notice that the but also can be separated by a pronoun in between. This one is a little bit trickier. All right. Because it's a standalone. Okay. This one we focus on no. All right. It is a continuation of a negative statement. The arrogant bankrupt did not want any help. All right. So did he ask for it? No, he didn't ask for it. Okay. So this bit here sort of answers the question on did he ask for it? Right. So since he did not ask for it and it supports a negative statement, we used no. All right. You can use no or all by itself. All right. You don't need the either or, neither or no. All right. You can use no by itself, and this is a perfect example of one. When you're supporting a negative statement by showing that he didn't do it. All right. Here we have putting in a tremendous effort in his revision, which is a positive thing. All right. Let me just do that again. There we go. Okay, which is the positive thing. All right. However, he failed his examinations, which is a negative thing. All right. So we have opposing ideas, contrasting ideas. So for this one, we use despite. Okay. Despite doing this, he didn't get that. All right. And of course, a key is the word putting, because it is in ing. So despite will be followed by the ing. All right. If you use unless, you don't follow it with the ing, right? Unless unless it's followed usually by a pronoun. Straightforward, prefer. All right. The pair is of course two and only two. This one, Let me read the sentence first. You may be a good swimmer, but it will not lead you to victory. Blank, you also need determination to be a champion. All right. Here, the right answer is because. The reason why it is because the phrase or the if what comes after the blank shows the reason why you were being a good swimmer is not enough. All right, so it's a reason for that. Another one for you to take note of. Rather can only be followed by than, right? Rather than. Usually, okay, usually you would find the word would before the word rather, and because of the word would, right, the following verb can only be in the base of the root form. All right, which is no ed, no ing, no s, nothing. It's just the form of the verb. Okay. Here, do not be tricked or confused just because the word prefer is in the past tense. All right, you will still use the word to. This one, let's rule out what we can't use. We rule out rather to because they don't go together. We rule out prefers then because they don't go together. They cannot go together. Right, so it's only going to be one of these two. It's only going to be either prefers to or rather than. Now, as we explored in the previous question or a couple of questions ago, okay, if you want to use rather, then it would be a would rather followed by a root verb. Here we have the continuous verb, eating, right? So unfortunately, we can't use this. So yes, the answer is this, right? Those of you who got it, good job, well done. Moving forward. Now the traffic congestion is the reason that Hannah missed her flight. Okay, so for the reason, all right, this is the one we want, due to. Due to carries the same meaning as because of. Okay, now with reference to just means that you are taking something else as a benchmark, so you're comparing with reference to. All right, on account of for. Now on account for is wrong because we don't use for with on account, we use of. Okay, on account of. If it was on account of, you could have used the option. Okay, this one, if. Why if? The basic structure or pattern of an if sentence is if something is done, then something else will happen. All right. If something is not done, something else will not happen. Right. So it's a parallel, positive, positive, negative, negative, generally speaking. So this one is trying to say that the basic understanding of this sentence is that if the product that you are selling is adequately advertised, it is properly advertised or efficiently advertised, then it should sell well, meaning there is no reason it should not sell well. Okay, so don't get confused just because you see the word not here. The word not here that's placed there, no part of it doesn't make it an opposing statement. All right, just know that the general main clause here, there is no reason why it should not sell well. So you get two negatives, becomes a positive. All right, so that's the basic understanding of this particular sentence. All right, if the product is advertise properly, it will sell. Don't worry too much about it. Here, there is a haze billowing from Indonesia, and Timmy has ceased his outdoor activities. Now, ceased, right? I think we had that word just now, right? Ceased means stopped, meaning he stopped going outside because of the haze. Now, here, we got a nice clue here, which is the word off. And only one of these, all right, uses the word off, which is as a result of, which makes this the only possible option that you can use. You can't say nevertheless of, you can't say despite of, you cannot say even though of, right? So process of elimination can apply for this one. All right, so just use as a result of, or you can only use as a result of. Straightforward, Y prefers, okay? 2. Here, a time marker is needed, all right? A time conjunction, a time subordinating conjunction has to be used here. They all are. After, before, while, and during are all subordinating conjunctions to use with time. Okay, so we need to look for further clues to know which one in particular to use. And there are 2 particular clues here. One is the past continuous was browsing, and that 2, the simple past snatched. So this is the past continuous, and this is just a simple past. So whenever you have a comma, one side simple past, one side past continuous, the conjunction that you are using has to show or normally shows that it happens at the same time. All right, so this one is while is showing at the same time, right? While Cindy was browsing through a book in the library, a thief snatched her handbag. Can we use during? Technically can, but not as the sentence is structured in this particular case, right? You can say, for example, during the time Cindy was browsing through a book in the library, a thief snatched her bag. Now this, by adding during the time and then you follow it on with the rest of the question stem, okay, this sentence then becomes grammatically correct. So in this particular case, you can use during the time, okay? But of course, if the time is not there in this case, you can only use while. All right, a bit of grammar close practice. You don't need this. All right, you guys know what grammar closes are about. Just a quick recap of what we did on Monday, I suppose. Arrow and crossbow in hand, young Joan of Arc stood on the fortress tower and looked down into the enemy camp. This courageous 17-year-old girl was about to lead the French army as they went to war. All right, so of course the phrase that you're looking for is go to war. You go to war, all right? You don't go into war, right? So she is there and the French army are going to war. She had already won a difficult battle, but now focused on. You focus on something, all right? Her final goal, to drive the English army out of, you drive people out of your lands, of the French city of Orleans. Joan's heart pounded fear as she shot a special arrow right into the English camp. Attached to the arrow is a message telling her enemies to surrender the city or she would attack. Now, this one is a set phrase in nature, all right, idiomatic in nature. So it's very limited, okay, heart pounded in fear. The English refused, and Joan once again prepared her troops. This one is for battle. You prepare for something, all right? Collocation, Okay, certain prepositions go with certain words only. So they collocate. Prepare for. The next morning, she led an assault against the enemy. Joan was wounded in the shoulder, the bloody battle. All right. So this one suggests, as we discussed before, two things happening at the same time. Right. So this one we can use during. Okay. The next morning, Joan was wounded in the shoulder during the bloody battle. Blank. In the end, Joan and her men were triumphant. Now, understanding the word triumphant means victorious, which is of course a good thing. All right, it's a positive thing, right? Compared to the sentence before where she was wounded in the shoulder, which is negative thing. So this is negative. All right, this is negative, something sad, but this is positive, something happy. Okay, so we use, however, here to show that contrast, that despite the fact that she was wounded, they still won the war, all right, won the battle. On 8th May 1492, the French army regained control of the area because of Joan's brave, inspirational leadership. Now, again, this is idiomatic in nature, meaning it is a set phrase. You regain control of something. You can't say regain control in, you regain control at, you regain control on. No, it's always going to be regain control of something, of a situation, or of an area in this case. Right? So yeah, very, very quickly, we did coordinating conjunctions, we did correlative conjunctions, we did subordinating conjunctions, all right? And we did a few of the questions related to the Joan of Arc passage.